synopsis. From my end, you know, Mr. Cummings did commented on the issue of the sanction, and he went over.
I want you to pause a little bit. Welcoming the issues from first.
But man, you're here. What's there? You're already here. I mean, solo. When you come, you can call your name. I already call your name. They,
Good.
oh, so the
Yeah,
time will call
thank you.
your name. What you were thinking on?
I know you're
Huh?
gonna introduce me formally, but
Man, I said
but man,
Moses Sandy will be
I,
joined
I just
momentarily.
want to kick it off on
Yeah, who doesn't know
yeah, it's
Moses
just a
Sandy
little
now?
bit of fun, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
but thank you. Mhm.
So
Go
anyway,
ahead.
quickly, as I was saying, so President Weah kind of went back at Cummings, and Cummings comes again with another letter, uh, you know, just going over some of the things that he mentioned regarding this whole thing and how the proximity of all of this to the president's office, kind of depict that it's not good for the image of the presidency, and neither is it good for the image of the country. But President Weah, is taking it personal, when you look at it. And he mentioned about the man working in Ellen's government. But come on now, the man was board member BWR. Why he appoint send a man to what they call the place NPA, because I went in
LPRC.
won't go LPRC LTA, where they're
Yeah.
making $15,000 a month, board member them. Why he send the man there? He wanted to put a man back in PWR. The man said, "No, I
So
don't want that one."
yeah,
Yeah, you see, so
yeah,
so
but no charity work. Yeah.
yeah, so PWR, that place will go be on board. The man he can't even grow their own restaurant in the back there, on campus.
Man, about school. Man,
Yeah,
about school. Don't do
I
that,
know, I'm a matter, but what the man was going to get from BWR. So that was charity work the man did. I don't think
man.
he got paid for anything he provided or any service he provided. But
No.
yeah, so I think the president has misunderstood the you know
The
the
purpose of
enormity,
Cummings'
the
letter,
enormity,
yeah,
not the purpose, but
yeah,
the enormity of the sanction. And so
yeah.
anyone who talks about the sanction, they come across as, you know, they're bad mouthing the president. No, um, they didn't call you, to say, oh, but man, you on sanction. They told you, man, and doing the thing. So when you keep talking, then we'll say your hand was in the cookie jar. So just be quiet, handle the matter the way you should handle it. You know, it don't mean so to be fired, do it now. Because we're hearing that you're still providing security to them. You're also still providing them the government's vehicle. So it means that they suspended with pay.
Of course.
So Moses, that's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, from Cummings' previous letter, that's what he implied that, hey, for the fact that the action by Mr. Weir has not been rather forceful, that insinuated that he may have benefited directly or indirectly. And many critics of the administration, including myself, strongly believe that Volcano, it is just impossible, given the proximity that Mr. McGill, Minister McGill, suspended Minister McGill had to the presidency. All of these things were happening, and the president would say he had no clue in terms of, things that were unfolding in his inner cycle. McGill talking to world leaders, engaging business people, taking money, reportedly taking money from Liberians who wanted to be appointed in government,
But
undermining the
has we
economy.
said he didn't know what was happening? I don't think he
Oh, no,
said.
he has no. What I'm saying is that he has not spoken, and that's what Cummings said. That for the fact that this man has not taken a real, tangible action against the suspended minister, that just suggests that he may have been, a beneficiary one way or the other.
Okay.
One thing that Mr. Cummings also made mention of in his letter is that, hey, say, Mr. President, you sat right there in West Point. when Representative Solomon George threatened to go after opposition politicians or individuals that he considered to be critics of the administration if appointed director of police. But you never condemned that. You look the other way. Everything Mr. Cummings said in his letter, these are things that are obtaining in the country. But George Weah, as usual, the CDC, as usual, opted to evade all these issues by delving into issues that are of no relevance. Mr. Cummings never spoke when he was in early administration. He did not raise the flag. He did not go to refugee camp. Look, these are not the issues of now. Cummings is saying, Mr. President, you need to act. And he has not taken those actions. Volcano, can you believe that George Weah says that he's fighting graft? And Volcano, tell me that. Is Mr. Weah committed to fighting graft in Liberia? How can he be fighting graft when his minister of state, with such a proximity, undermining the economy of the country, engaging in acts that undermine Liberia's ability to thrive, and he talks about fighting graft?
So what's the next one?
The next thing I want to talk about, yesterday evening, I watched a podcast by Mr. Henry Costa. And in the podcast, he had the opportunity of hosting the widow, the late EPS officer, Mervyn Early. That's the gentleman that the Liberian government claimed he committed suicide while on a nationwide tour with President George Weah interpreter Nima Kone. The widow spoke to Mr. Costa yesterday. And Volcano, I was emotionally bothered from what I heard from that lady. She said just 5 minutes before her husband was reportedly murdered, Mervyn placed a phone call to her and said, my life is in danger. These people, according to her, are about to kill me. And she said she was distressed. She couldn't believe. And this is a man who had years of experience in national security, worked with the Salif administration and all. And she said that her husband said the guys were threatening to kill her. I mean, they were getting ready to reportedly execute him. She said after 5 minutes, the phone went dead. She tried to call back. She could not reach her husband.
Okay.
10 minutes, reportedly. Finda Bondo, the protocol officer at the executive mansion, placed a phone call to her and told her that, hey, Mrs. Early, your husband has just committed suicide. And she said, but how could that be possible? Oh, well, he committed suicide. And according to her, she told Finda that that was not true, because she had spoken to her husband earlier, and he told her that his life was threatened. He was to be executed the same day. She said after the news broke, the Ellie family took to the media, raising concern about the situation. Again, the same Finda Bondo, according to the widow, reached out to this lady. The government, through Finda, told her that, hey, we have reported that your husband committed suicide. You are the only one that can back our statement. I don't know how credible this is, but according to the lady, the government said, look, you are the only one that can help us in this. You take to the airwave, grant an interview to any media outlet saying that your husband committed suicide. And when that is done, as a government, we will give you 10,000 United States dollars. Can you imagine that, Volcano? The lady said she couldn't. They kept harassing her. She said security people kept telling her activities. Right now, as I speak to you, this woman is out of the country. She's in a foreign land with her children. She said when after her husband passed, the body was taken to the funeral home. She went, she saw the body. She saw 3 bullet wounds. He was shot on the forehead, the chest, and the waist. Volcano, is it possible for someone to shoot himself 3 times while committing suicide? We are not security people, but it is not possible. Because when that first bullet goes, that person is going to what? Pass out. It's not possible to shoot yourself 3 times. She said the family asked for an autopsy. The government refused. The man's cell phone, according to her, the government gave her the man's cell phone with all data what? Deleted.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right,
sad
Moses,
situation,
thanks for
you
the
know?
update.
Yeah.
Let's move into our conversation here tonight. Again, as I said, we have our guest already here. Quickly, I'd like to welcome Midfield Deco, Flomo Livingstone. Welcome, Angasi Oe Dualu. Thanks for joining us here tonight. I believe you know the content of this conversation and the person who we're about to bring on tonight. The name is Leo Lekpele Nupolu Johnson. Um, Leo is no stranger to social media platforms. As I said, he himself does his own podcast every now and then. Good evening, Leo. Welcome to the Issues Room, I believe, for the first time. Uh, and we wholeheartedly welcome you because we think that this initiative we're about to talk about and other important matters are very significant to our space today. And that is why we've reached out to you to join us. I was in Liberia and I had the opportunity to see the groundbreaking and the foundation going up for this project. And I really want us to talk about it tonight. I'm sure a lot of people don't know. So, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Leo.
Thank you so much, Wakanda, and thank you so much, Moses, as well, to both of you. I really appreciate it to be on here as usual, and I follow the show from time to time as well, just to make sure that I'm following and being in tune with the discussion. So it's an honor, and I really want to thank you for inviting me.
Quickly, someone keep calling you. Could you just probably just
I just switched my
vibrate?
phone off.
Yeah.
Man, Leo
Well,
is a very busy man,
I
my
know,
man.
no, yeah,
I'm actually switching it off later
yeah,
on. You can see.
yeah.
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 So, so Moses,
Yeah.
as I was saying, I ran into to Leo at a restaurant, Terre Haute, but we didn't have the opportunity to interface. We planned to, but his schedule, my schedule, and it was crazy. In May, I believe April, late April, we kind of ran into each other, and he talked about the project. So I took my time to go to the Pinsville City Hall, right in the same vicinity where the project is currently ongoing. So, Leo, just quickly tell us about this project in a summary, how this initiative started. I know that it's all on social media where there was some monies given to you by the Canadian government, I believe, in the tune of $1.9 million raised, money that you don't have to pay back. The Liberian people don't have to pay back. But just give us a snapshot,
Yeah.
about this project.
Yeah, no, thank you. When I was in the Budaburam refugee camp those days, and one of the things we did, a few of my friends and I, was just reading because there was nothing to do on the camp. And the late Christine Torbert Normal, former President Torbert's daughter, many people would know her for her
Yeah,
background in
yeah,
education.
I knew her. She lived behind Police Academy.
Exactly. She used to come those days when we were in Danane. They had a home in Cote d'Ivoire. So she used to come to Abidjan all the time when the war was going on in Liberia. We're in Danane. And whenever she comes, she will have these Bible studies. Everybody will go to the Bible studies, and not because of the Bible studies, because she will give a dollar bill after the Bible study most of the time for everybody that shows up. So
And
this
what year were you at this time?
I was in Buduburam from 1998 to 2002. I
No, I
was
mean your age at the
oh, I
time.
was about what 17, 18.
And you still wanted a dollar?
Oh,
What are you talking
those,
about?
those days.
They on a refugee camp. What are you talking about,
Those
Volcano?
days, if you have even a dollar and you translate that to the CFA franc, that was very meaningful.
That was a lot.
Yeah. So a
Yeah.
friend of mine who played the piano, Samuel, also used to go. He would get a little bit more because he plays the piano. This
Yeah.
day, and she decided instead of giving dollars, she's surprisingly she didn't announce before. She gave everybody one book, and it was quite a disappointment. A lot of people were not very interested in the book. And she gave a book to my friend, which was about Samuel Kabut Morris. It's the history of a Liberian who came to the U.S. in the 1800s, was brought by the missionaries, self-educated himself to the point that he was able to be enrolled at what is that was the Taylor University at the time in Indiana. And while he was there, was doing one of the economic downturns in the U.S. and the school was about to go bankrupt. Through his effort, he was able to raise enough money to save the university from bankruptcy. It used to be called Fort Wayne College. It's now Taylor University. And his stated dream, in fact, there's a statue in his honor right on the compound of the university today when you go there. And his stated dream at the time was to return to Liberia with his education to help the country. He died of common cold, I think in 1876, and never made that journey. So that was the book. And so when we went to Buduburam, my friend Samuel had this book. So we used to debate the pros and the cons. And I had the opportunity to come to Canada. And I made a commitment at the time that because we had this idea of building a library. Now, what a library was in our mind was a container tanker with storybooks in it, because that was what we knew. That was our point of reference for what a library was. So I told them, whatever we do, I can commit that I will work on us getting this library built. By the time in our mind, it was like maybe $10,000, $15,000, and get a little container tanker, put some books in it, and you're good to go. When I got to Canada, went to university immediately, did my undergraduate studies, and through that journey, as I started to have the conversation and experienced what a library looked like on my campus, it changed my life forever. People think when you talk about library, you talk about a room with books. The amount of innovation that went on in fact, hardly did we even touch books most of the time. There was just so much, and it changed my mind. And when I decided to find out how much does it cost to do something like that, or a semblance of that in a country like Liberia, from my little 10,000 idea, I realized it would take at least $2 million to get us to where we want to get. So the background of that was that commitment and seed that was sown in the refugee camp that I committed to, that I was never going to give up until we had a chance to bring it to fruition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good story.
Excellent.
Good story. Good
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, very touching, as a young man with such a drive. So now, help us understand, Leo. The project is my understanding that you guys have already broken ground, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and how long is it going to take to complete this project?
Thank you very much. So the project itself is about 3 buildings that we're looking at. Right on the compound of the Painesville City Hall. We're putting in 2 new buildings, and then we're redoing the Painesville City Hall, because based on our assessment since 1960, there hasn't been any proper engineering analysis done to how sound that structure is for people to still be using. So the first building is now going up, which is just about $780,000 which is the first building. The foundation is completed for that building, and we're expecting in the next 20 months with the funding analysis that we'll have an enclosed building standing up, waiting to be furnished on the inside. So we're taking the building stage by stage. So the next phase right now after the foundation is to finish the building and have an enclosed structure standing up. And then the next phase, which we've already secured some commitments for already, will be the furnishing. So everything from the computers to the books to all of the things that actually need to go in there.
And who are the engineers?
Okay.
So very interesting. One of the things I've always argued has been the value of the process of knowledge exchange and knowledge transfer. When we started this project, the first time I went to Liberia, everybody told me, if you try Liberian engineers on the ground, you're done. Like, nothing will happen out of it. And I never believed it.
Man, what are you talking about?
No, I mean, I'm just telling you, in Liberia, it's anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was shocked, and I said, I don't believe it. So here's what happened. On one of the flights to Liberia for the groundbreaking ceremony, there was a young Liberian man sitting on the flight who met one of my colleagues, and they were just chatting. And I was like, what are you going to Liberia for? Blah, blah, blah. He was like, oh, we started a construction company and we're going back to Liberia. Part of our commitment is to try and help rebuild the country. And he was like, we're doing some work. Maybe you might want to come and check out the groundbreaking. Long story short, we ended up awarding the contract to that Liberian company called Tribicana that is actually spearheading the construction. But we agree that our construction companies or engineers may be limited, let's be honest, because of the environment that they're in. So we have an engineering firm in Canada who have partnered. So they are working with the Liberian firm to make sure back and forth with the knowledge exchange and knowledge transfer, because the Canadian government has mandated us that the building must be built up to Canadian building codes, because we are a Canadian charity. So even if we do work somewhere else, we are still under obligation to ensure that we are meeting the exact same standards that we would have met if we were building in Canada.
Wow, masterful. So my question I was about to ask before Moses came in with the engineers, what's the square footage and this building? How what's the capacity of the number of people that can be in it because again, the Liberia thing, you say this is not Canadian thing. So when you can put people that depend on fire brigade that can show up and then overcrowd the place and they run into hazard.
Yeah, the building is about 10,000 square foot. So it can take anywhere between 300 to 500 at any given time with all of the different rooms. And this is just building number one, right? Building number two is going to be more of an indoor recreation facility. So table tennis, basketball gym, all that kind of stuff would be building number two. So that's the size of building number one, which is a 10,000 square foot facility. That's human. I didn't realize how big it was until I walked on the foundation when it was.
But I went there and you can't really see it from what it looks like now. So there's the potential that what you're saying, and again, mathematics don't lie. So indeed, you might have that structure. Before Moses come back in quickly,
go ahead.
We talked about the technology in this building. Share with us what are the dream. What is it that this building going to present to the Liberian people?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd like to say, I think we often make a mistake that the value of these type of infrastructure development is not the finished product of the building. A building is a building. It can be broken down. It can be whatever can happen to it. The real value of this building is what is able to innovate in and around itself. So one of the things we did, instead of just building such a building in Liberia, we had to inquire what would make this building meaningful within the child that walks from red light straight into there. They don't have to come from any well-to-do family. In fact, they don't even have to have seen a computer ever in their life before. Would it be inviting, welcoming, and useful to a child like that? So we work with the Hamilton Public Library in Canada. Their board has just passed a resolution that they will be committing 10 years to use this as a way of developing a national library system for Liberia. What that means is you don't need to have libraries all over to do that. You can build the system now that you can always just connect another one. You can just build another one connected. But beyond that, they have also passed a resolution that anything you can access in the library here in Canada, in this facility, as long as you have internet, and even an intranet, which is another system below the internet, you will be able to access any educational material or resource that you are able to capture you can get in Canada there. Number two, we are putting in a small business incubation center in the facility. And what that means is in Liberia, when we talk about entrepreneurship and business, we look for people wearing coat suits and ties with book and files under their arms. Those are, no disrespect to those people who go to colleges and universities. The real entrepreneurs in my mind are those people selling in Red Light Market, in Douala Market, in Vatan. Those are the serious entrepreneurs who haven't given up regardless of rain, sunshine, war, no war. How can we turn those people through financial literacy into making this a self-income? So the Small Business Incubation Center, we've already piloted the program already. We just got to training the first 86. Each of them got $400 to be able to invest into their business directly. And then the third thing is a dedicated children curated library, exclusively designed for kids. Shelton, when you're in Monrovia and you have to run to a meeting for 3 hours, a serious meeting, and you went with your son or your daughter, and there's nowhere safe to actually leave them. You can take them to the space and leave them there, knowing that the activities that they will be involved in is safe, is educational, and you can go to your meeting and pick them up, but just with students and the rest of it. So I'm really pleased that we are also not trying to overly do the technology, because you want to ensure that it is consistent with the environment. You don't want to do something that when one thing breaks down, we got to wait for 6 months before we find a repair system or a part to actually do it. And that's why relying on the public library in Canada as a partner, anything they fix, we already got access to it. Any material they got, they already paid the licenses for it. So we don't need to pay any license for it. We already have it downloaded. As long as they're not selling it, they can distribute it as far and wide as they want.
Wow.
Yeah, so good idea, good project, great project. Now the question most people will ask is in terms of maintenance, funding, staffing, who are those that will be in charge of that?
That's a
And how
beautiful
do you intend to keep this up?
That's a beautiful question, Moses. And we already started some of this. So the school that I graduated from, McMaster University, we should stop 7 to 5 in the world, has also agreed. As we're speaking, we're currently researching to identify key areas. Because let's be honest, who even know if we have somebody with a modern library science training in Liberia that even knows how to curate this space? And it's not just a library. We talk about the library because it's the popular feature, but it's a learning center. So you need to ensure you got the right people. So the university is already looking at us identify, even IT, maintaining and running the facility itself, identifying key areas that we will identify with them to provide direct scholarships, to bring people here while the project is ongoing, to start training, and they will become trainer of the trainers. So by the time the building is about to open, we already got the first set of people who know where the wire is supposed to be run or who understand where it's supposed to be. And then they will continue to support them that the training can now be done locally in Liberia, and people may not have to fly because the cost of flying people to Canada all of the time. When you talk about maintenance, one of our strategies was to ensure that this is done by people living in the community there. Because if something breaks, you will hope that there's a guy down the street who knows exactly how those pieces were put together, that can say, oh yes, we know what happened. We can fix it, compared to waiting. Now, there may be some things in some cases where, truth be told, we might need international support, but at least the day-to-day issues, if this is done by a Liberian company in Liberia, then you can guarantee that somebody is around who knows what went into this building directly that can say, I can fix that or I can repair that. The third thing we did, we're using 80% of all building materials are acquired locally. This attitude where we bring all these sophisticated building materials from outside of the country, there was 6 years of research done into the types of building materials that are more accessible in Liberia, but that can meet the standards we're looking for. So everything from sand to wood to stone, these are the materials our people know how to work with, but also make sense for the climate that we have in there. And then funding. The building is designed to be a standalone, but we've built the first 3 years of operation into the building budget. So all of the things that we've done, one of it is income generation. In Liberia, if you need to do any major bulk size printing, you have to go to Ghana. Nobody in Liberia is able to cater to that for you. And the setup is pretty simple. We already do it in Canada here. So with our support from the library system in Canada, we will be able to do anything from your massive billboard to your small brochure, which is a very expensive endeavor. Ballot papers, we send them to Ghana or China to get them printed and bring back, which is actually a simple process that you should be able to actually do. So that's one income generating activity. The next one would be a co-working facility. There are all kinds of smaller organizations in Liberia that cannot afford to pay for a building on their own, but they're doing incredible work. In Canada, we already have a co-working facility, so we know how the business runs. If you can get 25 of these organizations, get them access to a hot desk, to internet, to printers, to boardroom, all of the fancy thing that you have at a UN office, and have them pay only $500 a month or $100 a month. If you get 20 of them in there, you're still making enough revenue to cover the overhead costs, but it's not a burden on one group, it's a burden on 25 collective. But you also drive the innovation, because one of them could be an accounting across the hall, another one could be a graphic designer. So what we've noticed in co-working spaces, you start to see them supporting each other businesses with the different type of expertise that are in the room.
Okay. So the other thing to talk about is the electricity, is the running water.
You just took it from my mouth. Yeah.
It's the security, because even irrespective of this thing being a Liberian thing, the men will still kind of come steal something from there. They won't buckle rise, they won't do something, they won't even challenge the watchman. So let's talk about that.
And I'll start with the security piece, Shelton, and that was very strategic. That's why we did 6 years of research. We visited 13 of the 15 political counties in Liberia. We spent at least 2 weeks in each of them. Spoke to chiefs, to zones, to youth groups, to elders, to women, to town chiefs, you name all of them, up to President Sirleaf herself. And one of the things we strategically chose the Painesville City Hall for was because the security infrastructure is already there. That's the last place anybody want to go burglarize, like Painesville City Hall, right? I mean, if you can burglarize Painesville City Hall, then sorry, I don't have a security answer for you. And, I'm not able to tell you I can be more secure than Painesville City Hall itself, right? But it was strategically chosen for that reason because there's already a security infrastructure. The people know already that Painesville City Hall, the security there 24/7, and that's not to go. On the electricity piece, we also did quite a bit of research around how do you build stand-alone energy sufficient building in places with no reliable grid. This whole thing, I'll keep hoping that LEC will get better. Yeah, we pray, but who knows when we will get there. So we need to be smart in Liberia now when we're designing public facilities of this size. Like what happened at the ministerial complex, scoring gold, dignitaries caught up in the elevator. ECOWAS heads of states caught up in the elevator, scoring gold.
But matter of fact, I pass the place every night. I told Moses it's in the dark.
Exactly.
The National Elections Commission is in the dark.
Electricity.
All of these public institutions.
We have to have a different thinking around how we design public infrastructure with our reality. So what we've done, the Rotary International Foundation is putting in close to $150,000 to experiment with a mini solar plant. I'm not saying a solar panel. It's one thing.
Solar plant.
Solar panels in Liberia, but what you can do with solar panel is you cannot store the energy. When you harvest the energy, you got to use it. So you can store it. So you're not able to say I can store energy for 1 month or for 2 weeks in a row, even if my solar panel doesn't work. So what we're doing with a mini solar plant is you can harvest the energy when there's enough sunshine and just keep storing it when you're harvesting more energy. But the building is also being designed smartly. There are things in the building that don't need to be hooked up to electricity for the building to run. So when you have LEC, yes, you can have everything working. But if there's no LEC, we wouldn't need the functioning things we need, like the internet servers, the computers. Those are the things we need, and those don't need heavy power. We don't need to have the whole building like we have lights. So the solar plant will be our first line of electrical supply. The grid will be the second, which is LEC, will be second, and then the backup generator will be third. So with those three, at any given time, we hope that at least one of them should be able to be up and running. The last thing I will say on the electricity piece is that so we are using something called the earth compressed bricks. So our engineers from Canada went in to work with our local to test these bricks. So these bricks are designed to hold any temperature you put into it for up to 6 hours. So let's say if you turn on the air conditioner and cool the room up, and you turn the air conditioner off, the room will hold the same temperature for up to 6 hours. If you go up interior, the little village huts that we built, it's the same technology. The sun can be so hot outside, but when you go in the huts in the village, as soon as you enter those mud huts, it's cool on the inside. It's the same earth compressed technology that they're actually using. So we call it Firestone bricks. That's what we actually call it. But they're really earth compressed bricks, which is beautiful. You don't have to paint. You don't have to do any of that. On the water, Shelton, the water is, we also designed a system where the normal rainwater, whenever it rains, and instead of doing over the roof, we're doing underwater or water bed, where you can harvest all the rainwater, store it, and just have a simple filter installed that pumps that water up back as long as it goes through the filter. It is clean. And these are simple technology that are already available. We're not reinventing the wheel. They've been used in Brazil. They've been used all over the world, except we haven't taken the time to research it and figure out how to deploy it.
Okay, so for the users, especially the students, the people from the community, I know this is a public library, but maintaining the library, maintaining the equipment, paying staff will require a lot of money. Would they be required to make little payments when they go in there to use the facility?
Yes, so we call it fee for service. There's whole idea in Liberia that we think just because we are poor, that means people cannot prioritize what is. We all know what poor parents go through in Liberia to send their children to a school. We know that. Even the poorest of the poorest, if they have to struggle, they will struggle to find out tuition to go and pay it. It's the same type of attitude we want to say. If you pay all that money for your child to go to school and you want them to be successful, and here is a world-class facility that it will take a little bit for you to enable them to get a membership card to be able to access, but also just renting cafes for international people who come in and just sometimes like we do here, you go and sit to a local cafe where there's internet to just work. You can find out in Liberia easily where, I can just go to a cafe. I just want to go somewhere, sit down and work. But to your point, yes, we'll be deploying a fee for service because what we want people to do is to aspire to realize that there is nothing wrong working hard to acquire a little bit of resources to access a world-class piece of facility that you may not be able to access anywhere, even if you have money.
And Leo, I think it's important that people pay something. you've been to Liberia. Moses hasn't gone, but to be honest with you, you got more boozing spot than educational learning places,
Yeah,
and all the boozing spot making money,
exactly.
and the people keep carrying the liquor price up.
Yeah.
So if you would pay something small for your learning in a state of the art, a center, then I think it reaps the result. The name Liberian Learning Center Project. Talk about the name.
So we wanted this. I've always had a pet peeve with people doing stuff for the
and
public
and and,
good
and
and
name it on themselves.
putting their own
Leo
names
Johnson
on
Learning
it.
Center.
If I want to build my private school, I will go build it and call it Leo Nupolu Johnson Private School, which is Leo Johnson Private School with his own money from his pocket. I'm
Right.
always troubled when people solicit public funds to do public good, but then twist and turn it around in the way to make it to glorify themselves as their own thing. Let's be honest, the monies I'm raising is not coming from my pocket, it's public money. But what I'm also doing, that's the reason why we didn't go buy our own land. I'm also troubled when people go to Liberia to do public good property and then they buy private land to put it on. So, okay, whoever bought that land, what did they get vexed one day and decide I want to take my team from you? What will you do? It's on the land that is in their name. Or even if it is in a private organization name. If you put in a private organization, then what happens the day that organization breaks down and folds up? It happens. Organizations come and go.
Oh
So
yeah.
for me, the name came from the place of saying this has to be named in a way that it is clear from the get-go that this is now owned by Leo Johnson. Yeah, give Leo Johnson any credit or praise you want for working hard to make it happen, but the actual ownership has to remain for the public. And what that means, I know people like to talk about how government is corrupt. That is true. But let me break the news to you. Government is going nowhere. We came, we met it here, we will leave, and it will be here, regardless of what form or shape it takes. So in every government, no matter how corrupt it is, if you look deep enough, there are always people in there who are still working hard to try and make whatever they can make of it. It behooves you to find those people, make them your allies. And that's what we've done. We want to partner with government. There's no way we say we cannot. But in that same vein, we got to do it smartly in a way that makes sure we are not suffering from the excesses of all the other things that has to happen. But that was the origin of the name, that this is not a Leo Johnson project. This is a public good project where even Liberians are donating their money to. Foreigners are donating their money, not for Leo to go build a legacy for himself privately. It's to do a public good for the Liberian people.
Okay, so Leo, let's look at the management thing of this project. If when the library is completed and all of these other little, housing units are all completed,
I think
uh,
Moses
yeah,
is
yeah,
the learning center. It's not
yeah,
just
the
a
learning, yeah,
library.
okay,
Yeah,
the learning center. When the
Yep.
learning center is completed, in terms of leadership, will the leadership be headed by exclusively
Yep.
Liberians, or you're gonna have Canadians playing critical role in that?
It will be a partnership. In fact, what we've done now, we have a joint collaborative board already with
Okay.
Liberians in Liberian Canadians that already sit on one board. Because these things, you don't wait until the infrastructure is there, because you
Okay.
want to see what the potential challenges could be now
Yeah.
before even the infrastructure hits. So we already have a board right now that consists of 5 Liberians from Liberia, Liberian
Yeah.
professionals already, and about
Okay.
10 Canadians in Canada, thanks to virtual technology. We're able to have joint meetings now. So it's
Okay.
going to be a collaboration. Because let's be honest, when I mentioned from the beginning the importance of knowledge exchange and knowledge transfer, that's what I was talking about. There will be areas of gaps. I care less how many Liberian professionals you assemble. There will be gaps. And where we can fill in the gaps from the Canadian side, we want to ensure that we got that knowledge base to tap into, and where we need the Liberian side to use their underground expertise. For example, Rotary International, Rotary Club of Monrovia is one of our fiscal partners on the ground. So they are also on the ground as a third eye beyond our own organization to ensure from accountability, because if we can build a team that can manage to build this stuff and successfully do it well, then I have no concerns that we can build the team to actually manage it as well.
Okay. Good. Good idea. Good plan.
quickly, Moses. If you just
Mhm.
join us, welcome to the issues room. Here we have our man Leo Johnson. He's here talking about this. I would call it mammoth project that is currently ongoing in Liberia at the Painesville City Hall. That's Weaver Street and Howard Avenue in Painesville City. This is our 87th edition here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on Volcano Shelton with Moses Sandy. Will be opening the telephone line at 8 o'clock. Call and have a conversation with Leo. So I think that's much about this project. We'll come back months down the road to tell us where we are with this project. But you wanted us to talk about some things, and I believe Leo, your intellectual uh, abilities are beyond imagination for your age, and sometimes I like to have conversation with you because you just continue to stimulate my intelligence as well. You want us to talk about politicking and nation building. You said that there is something about the balancing act.
Yep.
Let's start this conversation.
Thank you, Shelton. I've been very worried and concerned about, I usually say there are two sides to the struggle we have in Liberia and anywhere for that matter. One side is the fighting side, right? And we have to fight. There are just certain things you got to fight to tear down. They don't belong in society. Everything from corruption to all of the things that we talk about. But I like to remind people, whenever you fight, you guarantee to do only one thing, and that is to tear down. Whenever you fight, regardless of the cause you're fighting for, you're going to break down. The other side is the building side. And the building side is where we've neglected. We've poured all the energy to the fighting side. So what we've been doing over the decades, we've just been breaking down and tearing down, breaking down and tearing down, not realizing we are leaving these massive gaps and vacuums that sometimes if we're not intentionally building, the things that will come in them will be more dangerous than the things that we break down. So for example, 1980 happened. We broke down, tore down a lot of things, blah, 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 blah. We didn't build. We continued fighting and breaking down until 1989 came again. We didn't build. We broke down until 1997 came again. We elected President Taylor. We didn't build. We continued breaking more things down again until it erupted again in 2003. So the politicking side, we've brought so much energy to it, and for very good reasons. Unfortunately, we have neglected the building side. So we have over 100 years of gaps that are existing, but everybody, because, hey, the fighting side is instant gratification. When you are angry, you get in the street, you protest, and you bring you get that instant gratification. Unfortunately, the building side is tedious, it's long-standing, it's painful to the point where sometimes you're going to have to commit that what you're doing, you will not even be alive for it to start to bear fruits. So when I say the politicking and balancing, we've driven our young people, everybody to the politicking side. And we've neglected. So we are only breaking down and creating vacuums and thinking that miraculously somehow Jesus Christ will come and become president for Liberia. And I've argued, even if Jesus become president for Liberia in 2023, Jesus will struggle because the level of destruction the level of breaking down that we've done and have built nothing is a mammoth tax that we take all hands on deck to drive some of that energy. The same energy we carry to the fighting side when we call protests. When we call for a meeting to build a learning center, look, Shelton, if I was yet announcing today that I'm running for a senatorial position in Liberia, you would have seen the level of engagement. We are here talking about building I'm still fundraising, by the way. Very few Liberians I can count on two hands have ever even asked as to what does this look like. But if I'm raising GoFundMe for a protest or so, I can assure you that the engagement would have been more powerful. And that's what I meant, that the politicking side, I'm not saying is bad, but we have to have a balancing act with the building side, which is the nation.
And Moses is going to come in on this, but you know, when people hear about building, the thing is the infrastructure, but also the mind, because here's that gap and that disconnect. You know, Moses and I we talk about the 1990 to now generation. Mm-hmm. What those children don't know anything about Liberia. The common history they don't know. They didn't know even if we have fire hydrant. They don't know that we had stop sign. They don't know that we had traffic lights. They don't know that we had mailboxes, because we destroyed everything, but we also destroyed their minds.
Exactly.
So who are these people that are going to inherit our country? Exactly. Someone wrote something on Facebook the other day, and it just took me back to memory lane. I believe the guy is Conrad Yinkan or something, but I stumbled on it. And the guy goes on to talk about the days of our growing up, and the E.J. Roy, and the Monte Carlo, and the Splendid. And he went on to talk about the competition in the schools, you know, basketball, the Spartans, and all of that. And even Minus Sumo even referenced me when I used to sing at the E.J. Roy. But it was just something. And we don't see those things again. If you just call if you just took a what do you call that stuff, the loudspeaker
Megaphone?
or something,
The
yeah,
megaphone?
The megaphone.
megaphone, and you stand out there and say zigwe zigwe, you just see them coming from behind the fences and all, and that's all the young people know. So Moses, Leo, talk about the mind in
Yeah.
terms of this breakdown you're talking about.
And I put this a lot on those of us in the diaspora. Let me put this to you. I like to call it the reference point. So Shelton, you're sitting here, you're telling me about, your growing up days, right? The basketball game. That's your reference point. And that reference point is so powerful that you have something to aspire to, what your better is, what you consider to be better, right? That's your reference point. You know what my reference point is? It's 1990. That's my reference point. When the bombs were flying. Because when I started to understand more what was going on, that's all I knew. And since 1990, that has been my reference point. So whenever people say the country is hard, right? I'm laughing at you. I'm like, you're a joker. This country is great. Things are going well. Because when you tell me about the days of E.J. Roy and Splendid and Multicolor, I'm like, that's Toto story. You even get reference to show me. There's no place where you can go show me, say, what Multicolor used to look like.
Yes, Splendid here.
You can show me something.
Rocks upstairs.
Exactly. So my reference point when I look at that, what I tell people today, President Weah might just win the next election again. And I don't blame the young Liberians for voting for President Weah, because guess what? They can only relate to their reference point. And their reference point is octopus. It's 1990. It's April 6th. So the mere fact that President Weah can build a park now, that they don't have to worry about somebody with AK-47 shooting in the streets, running around, hustling for bucker with bombs dropping on building. The country is like Dubai to them, regardless of what you say. Those of us in the diaspora, when it comes to the mindset change, we will not get too far if we don't start to shift that reference point, which is why I went to do the Liberian Learning Center. Because when I walk a child to Pinsville City Hall and walk them in that building, and then somebody come with a politician and say, "Can I go in bed reading room? I call it library." They will tell you, say, "You're joking. I know what library look like. Can let me take you to Pinsville? Let me show you what the library look like." Say you come in lie to me and tell me, say, they lay continue you pull your books, that library. But those of us in the diaspora have a greater responsibility, Shelton and Moses, because we have seen better, we live better, we participate in better. But guess what? When we go back to Liberia, we take out our pens and pee on the streets. When we go back to Liberia, we buy our water bottles and drink it in the car and flip the bottle through the window, even though we know we cannot do that here. When we go back to Liberia, we go to the nightclubs at night, and when we're coming home, driving with one bottle of Guinness in one hand. And then we tell the people in Liberia, say they got mindset problem. I empathize with the people in Liberia because they've never seen anything different. Those of us who've lived here have seen better. What happened to this amnesia thing that affects us? And you can only change mindset in Liberia when you change your own mindset. Because the way you conduct yourself, the people around you, even when you're in Liberia, will be forced to acclimatize to how Shelton conducts himself. Compared to that telling them, say, "Oh, in America, we can throw garbage in a garbage can." But in Liberia, you're flipping it through the window. You say in America, you can hold your pee till you get to a bathroom somewhere and pee. But no, in Liberia, you stay in the street, and you say in America, nobody can drive drunk because the police will pull you over. But in Liberia, you're driving with one bottle of liquor in one hand. So for me,
but Leo, hold on. So when you get to the checkpoint, then the policeman says, "Well, man, what am I on now?"
Exactly.
Then you hear the man the balance on the Guinness, and he just said, "Carry on," But you're saying something very serious, and honestly, that's the truth. Sometimes we don't live up to our own standards that set forth here for us. When we get to Liberia, we just want to be reckless and live like the Romans do. Moses.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what he's saying. We always say that the change agent has to be what a representative of the change he or she is seeking. So if you want the people to behave in certain way, you just have to behave in similar way. You can't say one thing and then you do another thing. That would be hypocrisy. All right. So Leo, with all these good ideas, right? What is your recommendation for a Liberia that you want to see thriving? How can we change this around?
One of my first recommendations is let's stop defining Liberia's progress within the context of the next presidential term.
Okay.
It's a waste of everybody's. Let me put it this way, Moses. If I came to your house, Moses, and I had 100 oranges and said, "Moses, I beg you, please help me make orange juice." But the 100 oranges I gave you, 90 of them are rotten. Only 10 are good. I said, Moses, no problem. I just need orange juice. By the grace of God, it will be okay.
Yeah.
I care less how much sugar you put in that orange juice, that rotting orange juice, because 90 of the oranges were rotten.
Right.
From 1980, we've destroyed our population. We've damaged young minds. But we are hoping that a good man or woman will become president and appoint all of the ministers from these same rotting minds and expect that miraculously they will produce better. So, but if I say to you, let's stop, no presidency, whether 6 or 12 years, can transform Liberia. It's going to take 50 to 60 years of consistent building and effort to be able to get us to where we should be among the community of nations, in my opinion. What that means is all of us must start to do our part within our means. I'm not saying don't criticize government. We should, as citizens of our country. When they go wrong, we should chastise them. But that's all we've done. What are you doing within your means? Hey, my means in Canada, I was able to mobilize efforts here to raise funds to go to Liberia. I didn't need a government. And to the government's credit, Liberia is so unregulated that we okay when we're doing a bad thing and we take advantage of the loopholes. But time to do good, that the time we say it's difficult, the country too corrupt. But when we won't go sell our used car and don't pay taxes and pretend that our own private thing we're carrying, we can put 6 used cars on the container, take it to Liberia, pretend like for our private use, we sell it, make business. And some of us been making business for 10, 20 years without paying a single dime in taxes or even registering it. We take advantage of the loopholes for the bad things, but we don't take advantage of the same loopholes for the good things. Guess what? Since I've been doing this project, Moses, it's 3 mayors now in Painesville. It's 2 presidents now. It started under President Sirleaf with Mayor Letitia Reeves. It went to Mayor I just
Gibson.
forgot. Gibson. Mayor Gibson. And then now it came to Pam Belcher Taylor. Now one of them have been an obstacle in my way. Okay. It started with President Sirleaf. I met President Sirleaf. It came to President Weah. Not a single person in President Weah's government have stood in my way. Look, these are loopholes because the government, there's so many other things. The government budget of $500 million. There's not much they can do for you. So I think the real place we need to start is to start doing our part within our means. If your means is only to raise your children so that they become astute citizens, do it so well that if God blesses any of them tomorrow that they end up in a public office, people will see that, wow, this person was well raised. If your only that you can do is to build a public toilet in your Nizo community that you used to be, why are you advocating, for the bigger things and criticizing the government? Because you know what? Until we start to change those rotting oranges to good ones, when we start to increase the sample size of better citizens, even if a corrupt president comes in place, but the appointments that he has to make, the people that are coming with astute character, that president will struggle to survive with his corruption because there will be people to hold his or her feet to the fire. But so let's criticize government, but we are neglecting our responsibility to do our part, because I think when we increase the sample size of the Liberian population that has the credibility, the transparency, the quality of character, that if any of them ever mix it in the government or even not in the government, when they become talk show hosts, the quality of their discussions would just be so high that anybody who becomes president will already be scratching their head to know what you're putting yourself into.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk about the role of the Liberian diaspora, particularly when you look at the issue of responsibility and accountability. And there are 2 things here: being responsible and being accountable. If you consider the diaspora, we've never been able to hold together like we should. You would think that all of the education, the exposure, and all the things that we've been able to acquire, we could make the difference. But even here in the diaspora, we're still fighting among ourselves. We like the absolute responsibility to take a project and move it forward, to take an organization and move it forward, the infighting and all of that. And we cannot be accountable. There are organizations here we've brought here, they're still fighting among themselves. One person got a bank account, the other person got the bank book, So
and only 3,000 in the account when you go.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. The role of the diaspora, the Liberian diaspora, and it's not just here in America, but you're talking about Liberians in Europe, Liberians in Australia, everywhere outside of Liberia.
It's a profound problem, if I could just add on. Yeah,
no, thank you. So here is my thought on it. It's a waste of time for all of us to be running to Liberia so we won't go change the country and change our mindset when we cannot even build a robust diaspora? Forget Liberia yet. Trust me, if you built a robust Liberian diaspora, you wouldn't need to be the one to say it. The dots will connect automatically. We have a leadership crisis in the Liberian diaspora everywhere you go. Every Liberian association has no money, but everybody fighting over the chicken change that's in the bank account. Everybody fighting over the power to be the president or the board chair. And all they do is go to baby showers and they put bibi fufu bowl in front of them and land on the table with alcohol. I'm saying this because you see it. Oh, the president account, you bring a hair table and they land on the hair table. That's all we do. Let me give you an example. Shelton, I would say, if we can build, I often say, if you can build a business here, Shelton, to run a shop in North America, where things are so organized, there are funding application you can go and get. If you can do it, I'm sorry, Shelton, you can build a shop in Liberia and make it work. The same set of skills you need to build a shop here are the same set of skills you need to build a shop in Liberia. The only difference in Liberia is it's even more complicated now because of the type of environment. So if you couldn't do it here, where it's so structured, well organized, and transparent, how can you do it in Liberia? Let me give you an example. I became president of the Liberian Association of Canada in 2019. I took over the organization with $2,000 in the account, and I told everybody the reason we're fighting and making flour is because you broke. Moses, when you're not broke, you solve problems. The thing that you think about every day that's solving problems. You think about petty things. Yeah. So I told him, I said, I can't take on an organization that's broken. We'll continue here. In the last 3 years, we've raised over $300,000 in the last 3 years. We've taken on mammoth projects across this country. We supported over 3,000 Liberians who crossed from the US during the pandemic, running away because of the TPS situation. They had to try and cross to Canada. We provided them monthly financial allowances for up to 4 months during the pandemic, monthly from $150 a month to $250 a month, depending on family size, right? Why am I saying this? It's because the leadership crisis in our community here is the problem, and we all do it. We support, number one, is incompetence. Most of the organizations started informally. And, we just came, and, Moses sent me that they knew we know he was the elder around. So we went to Moses and said, Papa, we want you to be the president. Please lead right now. We're not playing informally, right? So Moses was leading the community, but now the community now grow to 2,000 people. Now we say, let's formalize this thing. Moses said, no, you realize y'all be kicking me off. Y'all put it into the formal process.
and I'm trying to more members now, more grease coming in.
So the $10 due we've been paying now, all of a sudden, it has expanded now because there are 2,000 people paying the $10 due.
Yeah, plenty of money coming. And
that is the biggest mistake. So let's forget. When I say let's forget, I'm not saying neglect the challenges in Liberia. I'm saying we need to start calling our own friends. Or just because they made you President Moses Sani, that doesn't mean you know how to do financials.
No.
Come back to the community and say, you know what? Let's stop this argument. Doing financials, that's not my era. Can we find somebody in the community, you don't want me really to lead, who's good at doing the financials to handle? If we can't, can we go outside of our community and find somebody to mentor us and, to develop that skill that we need? Same thing in Liberia. Political parties running the election law say you must produce financial reports. Not a single political party on record has ever produced an audited financial report. I dare anybody to send me one. I'm still waiting.
Not even the CDC.
Not even the CDC. So when you see them messing on the budgeting process, then we'd be wondering how come they can't get it right. Because they never practiced to do it when they were a political party. And they stuff that not voodoo.
Yeah.
And so the Liberian diaspora, to answer your question,
read something.
The Liberian diaspora must show their juice here. What we need to do is start chastising our organizations, whether it is the ULAS or the Liberian Association in Canada or wherever. This is the time to put them under the microscope and get them to where it should be before we go pour our money. People in Liberia and say we won't go do. We go to Liberia, so we can't do something. When the people ask why we broke, we say, oh, let's do GoFundMe or collect the money. Then we will go when we live in absolute abundance. The amount of money that is available here for community-based associations.
Okay, let me just read something here. There is a gentleman here on the show tonight. He's trying to reach us. Like my mouse. Okay, good. My mouse was kind of freezing. The name is Lomel Davis, and I just want to share this. He says that I would appreciate when you guys call me on the show to discuss the death of my beloved daughter, Jamel Davis, who was raped and killed by an unknown person. Up to now, no response from the police. He says he's from Nupolu, and he says here that my daughter was just 7 years old. She passed to the second grade. Unfortunately, she met her early death. after she was sent to buy Pampers at a nearby community shop on the 23rd last month, which was August.
Yeah.
Her body was found on Sunday the 24th, the next day. So the name is Jomel, is the little girl's name, but the guy is Lomel Davis. So we'll get back with you at some point, my brother. We want to sympathize with you for the loss of your daughter. And you're saying that up to now the police uh, has not done anything yet. That's a long time, from the 23rd, 24th to the 2nd of uh, September, with nothing yet to you know say to you. That's very scary. And these are the things we're talking about every day, plaguing the image of our country, and yet you know people take it for granted. Leo.
That's true.
It is
That's
sad.
true.
It is sad. And we were just celebrating the last time because the whole country managed to buy one DNA machine. Just
Yeah.
imagine the mediocrity of it all.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
whole country mustered to buy one DNA machine, and now they heard the DNA machine is actually broken down.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yes, the number to call, please call 404-272-2808 if you want to be a part of the conversation tonight. We're here with Leo Johnson, and he is the brainchild behind the Liberian uh, community project, the Learning Center at the Painesville City Hall. This project is currently ongoing, and in the coming months and probably 2 years from now, this building will be ready. Maybe when I go there, I can, go and chill to and get on the internet, do some stuff. But thank you so much, Leo, for what you're doing. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Was it?
and Shelton, just before
Yeah.
you go to hand, I didn't want to forget
Mhm.
this
Go
because
ahead,
people
Leo.
say this thing, we just talk for the sake of talking. So beyond the Liberian community, the success we've had, my organization Empowerment Squared, which is doing the project in Liberia, because of this consistency in hard work, we've just got awarded by the federal government, $1.9 million over 2 years, funded, fully funded for a series of our different activities and projects here. So I want people to know that we're talking about this in real time. What happens when you set yourself up in the way? It doesn't matter whether you are Liberian, refugee, no refugee. This country is based on merit. When you set yourself up, the resources will roll in.
So,
Yeah.
Leo, help clarify this for us. The $1.9 million you're talking about, that's exclusively for your organization.
Yes, it's
Now,
exclusively Empowerment Squared.
so the learning center, how is that financed?
That is financed through fundraising directly. So, like I talked
Okay.
about Rotary International, for example, is one of
Okay.
our partners, the Hamilton Public
Okay.
Library, but it's individual financing. The last time we had a gentleman that donated $150,000 in one check.
Okay.
So we hit in the pavement. It's all through individual donations. And
Okay.
there have been some Liberians. Recently, we did a fundraiser in Liberia. People who send no money in Liberia. And this is one of the things I tell people in the diaspora. If you don't give people the right vehicle, there are people in Liberia with money who are looking for the right thing to invest in. It's not there. We did a fundraiser at the Royal Hotel in April when I saw you, Shelton, when we met.
Mhm.
We did a fundraiser at the Royal Hotel one night, and we raised 59,000 United States dollars in one night. All Liberians. Not a single person were all Liberians that donated a night 59,000 US dollars in one night.
And Leo and Moses, when you talk about something like this, it reminds me of the Dikembe Mutombo, who played in the NBA and was able to, you know, uh, mesmerize all his boys and say, "Let's go to my country and see the depth of the struggle there and build this elaborate hospital for his people." You look at other, African players who play in the NBA, soccer, like the guy, Didier Drogba, what these guys have done for the country. Then you come to George Weah, who said he ate football with his teeth. He played on his back, he rolled it, he slept with it. Go to Liberia and show me what job we are did for our country. Then we turn around and get a man the presidency. Then he dancing buka on us.
Yeah.
But yet Leo, who could have, done everything his way and all these connections you've made, you have said, listen, this is me. Like we are when he goes out there, his own campaign or what they call it, party chairman say when they go out, when they give them aid, he say the money for him, they must give him the
Yeah.
money.
You
Well,
diverse it.
so let's think about some of these things. If we had our athletes, right? our respectable people in society thinking this way. Guys in that very Senate, some of the money they made in the tunes of millions, if they were thinking like you, Leo, our country could still be moving forward. Moses, what do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. If people were thinking Liberia or they are nationalists, a lot of things would have happened. I mean, like you said earlier, even if we are to, take a look at our own uh, current government, when this administration ascended to the leadership of Liberia, what did it do? First, they introduced a quote unquote mop up exercise. $25 million went missing. What did Mr. Weir do? He put up 47 condominium under shady condition. What did he do? He demolished his 9th Street residence and started what? A new project. Nathaniel McGill became one of the most richest Liberians. He throwing money all over the place on official condition. So our people are not
Let me
nationalists.
let
But
me just
Leo, yeah,
yeah,
go
just
ahead.
before somebody asked
Mhm.
me if the number, yeah, you can use this number via WhatsApp if you able to call from anywhere, so you can use it. The call will come through via WhatsApp. So again, it's 404-272-2808. But yes, before Leo comes in, President Weah was able to dedicate a park, right? That
Mhm.
he built with the Liberian people money, not his own
Yeah.
money, oh, the
No.
Liberian people money. But he was able to mobilize his soccer friends to come when these people could have come to break grounds for a project and donate to the project. You see the disconnect here, and still
But
people
we,
believe
we,
in this
we end
guy.
up spending millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to host them,
Yeah,
actually,
Yes.
yeah,
instead
At
of
the
yeah,
doing
expense
absolutely.
of
Yeah,
government. At the
yeah, we
expense of
so
absolutely.
what,
government.
what type of president is this who misses the priorities? And when people talk, oh, you don't like this ball. No, we like the guy, but the guy has not done anything for our country. Out of
Yeah.
his pocket, nothing we can show me that he did infrastructurally compared to the money he's made, the claim to fame he has, and other athletes who've done same
Yeah.
and was able to do more. But you dedicate a small little a practice ground. You bring all your international friends rather than say, "Oh my man, I got this land. We want to do this project. You can't help me raise money for it." You didn't do it, but you brought it just to show off, show your big gut running around, say you're playing football. I mean, it's not fair to the Liberian people. Then you'll say, "Oh, this,
Uh,
obviously, man." I'm done. Moses and
yeah,
Leo.
yeah. Leo, so you spoke about, the inability of Liberian organization in the diaspora to really work in unison. And this has taken out to ULA, the the Union of Liberian Associations in the Americas. Eula over the year, when I was a young man in Liberia practicing those days when Eula spoke, we knew that Liberians in the America had spoken. Today's Eula is not the Eula we had years ago. Like you said, how can a Eula with residents in the Americas look up to the government in Liberia for budgetary support?
Is
Before Minister McGill was suspended, he came here and told them, hey, look, we give you $300,000 on an annual basis.
yeah.
So now you tell me, Leo, has Eula lived its usefulness?
I would say no, and it's a shame. And I'll say why I say it's a shame. Just the age of ULI alone, almost a 50-year-old organization.
Yeah.
Like it's a shame in so many ways because in fact I believe in my lifetime, right? That when I know things, I'm very careful talking about Liberian history before me because the lack of us writing our history has left it
Yeah.
up. All our history books are just dying. Joseph said
Mhm.
one died a few, another history book died. Emmanuel Boyer
Yeah.
died a few other day, another all own a history book then
That
it can
is
die.
that, yeah.
So I'm careful when I'm speaking about times that I was not around, at least for the time that I've been around. EULA has become a political tool where people come here. to create an impression when they become leaders in EULA that they go to Liberia, that there are big people in the Liberian diaspora, so they deserve to get some type of, or when they hear, they use it because there is this perception in Liberia of what EULA used to be, like you said.
Yeah. Mhm.
People still have that same perception. So when you EULA here now, the government feel like they got to take time with you because they don't want to go. So then you use it to
Right.
lobby. People using EULA to lobby, which is wrong. And I would say this to everybody in any organization, any strong organization, Shelton, that is doing well. There are two things happening. There is strong governance and there is strong financial accountability. And look, they say, show me the money. I will tell you. Any organization you want to know if it is run well or not, look at the financials. Don't ask anybody to explain to you. Just tell them to send you the financials, and you will quickly be able to put 1+1 and tell whether it's running well or not. So I think where EULA has failed is the absolute breakdown of governance. Because governance, like a board, supposed to have fiduciary responsibility of the organization, which means one, a board needs to make sure the organization has the resources that are required for it to accomplish its mission and its vision. Number two, it needs to ensure that those resources are mobilized in accordance to the organization's vision and mission. Let me tell you today, you don't want to send Porto Liberia, the passing around collecting $10, right? Or $50, or everybody pay whatever you can pay. That means you don't even have what it takes to live up to your mission. And the last thing I would say to EULA and to everybody, we can keep sitting here and fighting everybody who criticize us, or we can listen to all the criticism, take the ones that are constructive, not have to fight back against the ones that are not constructive. Because you know what you can argue with? You cannot argue with success. The best response to criticism is progress. But we spend so much time running to all the talk shows to argue with other people who said taking the money from McGill was wrong. But we still can produce a financial report from EULA to show us the new government coming in to tell us, what are you taking over from the past leadership? Can you turn that report over to us? No, we're running all around the place and arguing whether the money from McGill should be giving. It's a waste of time. People have the right to their opinions. Show me progress and let me see who can argue with that.
Let me just read something here from William Daniel Krakow, Moses. And I'd like to respond to it. He said, if our country was stable when we was playing active football, he was going to build infrastructures. We were fighting senseless war when we was sponsoring our national team worldwide. He helped and brought peace to our country. It's only we have money or millionaire in our country. But let me come back to you. Probably you don't even know the story. When we was playing football, he built an infrastructure in Liberia. It was his 9th Street residence.
And businesses.
No one went there. Huh?
And businesses. So he built businesses.
Yeah, and businesses.
He had businesses.
But he built businesses, but he didn't build infrastructure. He only used people places to do his business, the 9th Street Club, and club on Kerry Street and
sports store.
All those institutions crumble.
Yeah.
They all crumble.
But junior professionals, his own team that he started.
It fell. But the point here, I want to drive to this brother, Mr. Krakow. Is it Kraku?
Yeah, Krakow. Yeah.
Okay. So he was well loved by Liberians at the time. Had we put up any infrastructure in our country, no one was going to touch it. I'm convinced no one was going to touch it. No one was going to break it down. When did not do what he was supposed to do with the national team, and it was very visible that the national team was just a win away or draw away to go to the World Cup, and to squander it, that's when Liberians started to see him differently. But all along and everything he was doing, and when you talk about carrying the football team all around the world, we were right there with the national team. I commentated. I was with the inside. How many places did we carry the national team? And he even demanded that the interim government paid.
But everything he was refunded.
So I don't know what you're talking about, William Daniel. But so I'm just trying to tell you the popularity of WIA. In the midst of war, people are still building. In the midst of war, people are still having children. In the midst of war, lives go on. People don't stop everything.
No, not even go to the war. Okay, let us forget the war. Since when the war ended in Liberia, let's forget the war. It's been almost 20 years since the war ended. And we didn't even need to spend this kind of money. Let me tell you something. When you're somebody who's achieved that kind of status, look, when we goes to Cote d'Ivoire, to Abidjan, traffic shuts down. just by showing up. Let me tell you what people with that kind of status do, like the Zidanes of the world, sports figure. Here's what they do. Samuel Eto's of the world. They go around and tell their rich millionaire friends, my country is suffering. We don't even have a freaking hospital. I'm organizing a fundraiser because I need to raise $10 million, gentlemen. And I got nowhere else to go. I need all of you guys. Hey, Zidane, tell me what you putting in, bro. Samuel Ito, I need to know what you putting in. I'm bringing all of y'all to Monrovia. Hey, guys, y'all know you're not leaving until we raise the $10 million. That's what celebrators do. I've been to fundraisers where big people bring their friends, entertain them, spend $100,000 to entertain them and raise $10 million. That's good business. You spend $100,000 to entertain them, give them good wines and good dinner, and they gave you $10 million. And they all will do it. All of the courtesy for who we are is they call him Vieux Père. Among Didier Drogba, all these guys call President we are Vieux Père. They see him as their big brother, like Vieux Père. So when President we are picked up the phone and called, they will come because President we are called.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the line is still open. Please call 404-272-2808. Good conversation here tonight with Leo Johnson, Moses Sandy, Volcano, Shelton. We don't have problem. I keep seeing it. The problem we have is what he doesn't do, and we're trying to educate him. And hopefully he picks up the phone and begin to call.
We need to have a problem with we are. He's our president.
No.
If there are issues we're not happy with, we need to have
meaning the man himself. The things he's not doing.
The personalizing it.
They're taking it that we like we are. No, I let my man we are, but we are supposed to be doing more than
this is about
power he has.
About Liberia.
Also now. Come in, Moses.
Yeah. So Leo, how can the Diaspora Liberian organization move forward?
Before you come in, let me take this caller quick. We'll give you that opportunity. The caller with a text us number 3746.
Yes, sir. It is Kesselly calling from Texas, and thanks to you, Shelton and Moses.
Welcome,
brother Leo, the man who I've always followed. I admire him a whole lot.
Thank you, my brother,
for all that you do, brother.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. You know, I listened to all that he said about, especially Liberians contributing toward the political activities than when it comes to other, infrastructure, educational activities. And I think one of the main reasons why that is happening is that Liberians actually want to see change. We want to see Liberia better. That is just my own observation for what I've learned from it. And most Liberians believe that no matter how many development you come to Liberia, when the political arena is not changed, when you still have the corrupt people in the system, those corrupt government officials, those corrupt minor Liberians sitting in the system, no matter how many $1 million you infuse into the system on a private level, it's still going to be consumed by the corrupt activities. So what some of us believe is that investing in these investments are not bad things, but we have to set that, free environmental arena. So that way, when we are making these investments, we can believe that it will be sustained, it will be dependable, and that nothing bad will come from other people. But with all of these investments we're doing, some of us feel that if we invest within our rotten environment, we just believe that it might be manipulated and, it might go the other way. That's some of our observation. I'm one of the who fall within that category. But to admit, I follow Leo, all of his podcasts. Every time he's on, I admire him. I've learned from him. In fact, I even told my president of our organization in Texas again to talk with him because we were trying to learn from him. I don't know whether the president has gotten in touch with him or not, but I am one big admirer of this man.
Yes, he actually did. Yeah, he got in touch.
To do what he's doing, but with the political arena still looking like this, that's the mentality of some of us have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kesselly. Thank you. Yeah, so Moses' question was, I think it had to do with the way forward for Liberian organizations. Yeah, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, that was a question. I think
we lost him a little bit. I think he will be coming back momentarily.
Yeah, that was Moses' question. I think Shelton, the way forward, first of all, is to really start calling out all these bogus, wrongly set up organizations. We all have sat here because some of the guys involved are our friends or they are our colleagues, so we don't want to be hashed. Like an organization like EULA is a public institution where I haven't heard our talk show host calling for EULA's financials. I've never heard it. When you do it, the thing you wish hunting somebody. No, you are entitled to produce your my organization here. We just finished with our convention, the Liberian Association of Canada. Our financials everywhere. It's online. I know you see how much money we raise, you see how much money we spend, you see how much money, what we spent it on, what we didn't spend it on, then we can debate whether or not the merit is there. But I think we've given this organization a lot of pass because we've always said the reference man, the people trying, and then we go and say, me, I want to be involved with Liberian people activities. They have Wahala too much. No, let's call them out because these people are putting all of us in a bad situation. When people say the Liberian community is a mess, you know who they're talking to. They're talking to all of us that we are all a mess because the community is a mess. And guess what? Our children are growing up in it. You cannot shield your children from it. If it becomes the reference point for our children, so the way forward for me, first of all, is to start using our platforms to call them out into submission so that the general public is not thinking that things are going well, or the people who are there can start to realize that, because sometimes they themselves just do not know. So I think that education, like these kind of discussions we are having, is where it starts. To start to say, sorry, Yula, we love you. We think you can do well. But in your current state of where things are, you are not doing the Liberian community any favor. We beg you. Here are the things you need to put in order for us to actually see.
And it's not just with Yula. I mean, every grassroots Liberian organization here in the US. And, it's a part of being a part of the community. And you put in monies here, you put in monies there, you put in monies there, you put in monies there, and you're not seeing anything, but you're affiliating with something, but you're not benefiting. In these same organizations, you're raising money because somebody's mothers died, you're raising money because the wife died, you're raising money, and so it's just too much burden on Liberians in the diaspora. And these monies are not being used for the intended purpose. Sometimes the organization crumble because of financial malfeasance.
It's correct. In fact, a lot. That is a common theme. And I tell people all the time, when we say financial malfeasance, we don't even need to prove that you stole or ate any money. If you can account for it, that's financial malfeasance.
Yeah.
If you can account for it, period. Because I don't need to go prove that you take it and put it in your personal account. But if we had $10,000 and that $10,000 finish and you can account to the organization, that's financial malfeasance. But even a bit beyond that, I would say what we need to do is to not, because I know a lot of Liberians think the solution has been to remove themselves, right? And, to be like, I don't want to be involved. I don't want the wahala or whatever that is. I think what we need to do also is to start to provide the education, Shelton. That's what I've been doing on different platforms, because a lot of our people don't even know how it's supposed to be. Some of the people, even in leadership, will start to tell you, say the president is more powerful than the board. The president can fire the board. Big organizations, people have called me and said, oh, that's true. They said the president can fire the board. People just don't know. So someone like myself and other people who may be experienced in this area, we're starting to get out. And those who take it to be negative, sorry, I'm running workshops in Canada. We ran a 6-week training workshop for all of the Liberian community presidents in the various associations. Everything was on governance. It was on financial accountability. It was on something as simple as conducting a meeting. You go to a Liberian community meeting, you're hala and fue. You can't finish because nobody knows how to conduct a meeting. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows how to chair a meeting and stay on agenda and finish the meeting within an hour. So 3 hours later, the shouting match across the floor. And it's simply because you sit in there, if you realize that the person doesn't even know how to conduct a meeting, because if you knew better, we would not be in the situation.
So imagine in person how horrible that is. Think about teleconference. Teleconference. The man come toward the end of the something, then he come and say, even though I was not here, but while you were talking, you have to come relay conversation to you.
Or y'all got to recap. And then they talk about Robert's rules. Why are we referencing Robert's rules? Robert's rules cannot work in like small community associations. Robert's rules is for parliamentary structures and procedures. The amount of resources you need to make Robert's rules work, you don't even have it. So we need to be sitting as an organization, making a template of how we conduct our meetings in a way. And sometimes you can borrow from Robert's rules. But you hear people in meeting, according to Robert's rules, you must do this. I'm like, why are you wasting people's time? And now in the whole room, nobody there know what Robert's rules is because no one has ever read it. So how are you going to expect this meeting to go? So the education piece for me is extreme. People will be arrogant sometimes. They're not willing to humble themselves and accept. But we need to now don't be quiet anymore.
Just before I let you go, let's talk about the dual citizenship. I listened to you and you went on with it. Recently, probably yesterday, in fact, I was driving from work and I stumbled upon Spoon. and the conversation with Emmanuel Wetty and another guy, Yato or something. Yeah, Yato. Okay, good. There was a part in that conversation that is stuck on for a while because even Tumbling George and Peabody, my own Baptist brother, they had a problem with it. And I too now have a problem with it. It sounds like it's the military law, don't ask, don't tell. That's the premise that Wetty was arguing on. And Yato is saying that in the first place, they shouldn't have agreed to that part of the deal. But how could that be so evil on the part of those senators and whoever passed the law that a person who is naturalized can
have
vote
more rights,
more power than Volcano, who was born in Liberia
and raised in Liberia?
Yeah, grew up, went to school, know all the history of Liberia, suffered in the war and all.
Yeah.
But because of opportunity, came to America and took up citizenship. Hypothetically, here in America, you say that when I get back to Liberia, I'm lesser than
the Nigerian guy who came 6 years ago.
Noabudiki. Yeah, then Wapudiki or Kofi from Ghana, and the Ghanaians will not even give me the citizenship like that, you know, through any naturalization means. Explain that, because I'm sure our viewers and listeners here tonight want to really understand this segment. This is a segment that really going to be hunting, you know, Liberians who have gotten citizenships from other countries for a long time.
Yeah, and a lot of people know my public position on this. The whole idea in the fight for dual citizenship by Wetty, Eula, and the rest of the other groups in Yato was a noble call, period. In fact, in my opinion, it's long overdue. Liberia was started as a dual citizenship country, period, from its very inception itself. All of the ways of people who were coming from America to Liberia, where did they naturalize? Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. In fact, two of our presidents were never Liberian citizens. They came to Liberia when they were already, I think, 13 and 12. Mm-hmm. They never have a history of ever going through any citizenship process until they became presidents from Barbados. But let me get to your question. First of all, this whole bill, the premise was wrong, in my opinion. And here is the premise. In Liberia, we are used to making bad laws and making the excuse that we will make it better later on. Let me give you an example. Liberia as a country has never had the opportunity to ever experience citizenship from a place of belonging. Never in our whole history. 1847, we photocopied the racist United States Constitution that said women were not citizens, could not vote, didn't have the rights, or they were second-class citizens. We went on and then we said land title. If you didn't have deed and land ownership, you were a second-tier citizen. You can vote, right? We went on. And then the Alien Nationality Act came in when the Bacchus Matthews and the rest of the progressives were in the diaspora, and the leaderships of the day were afraid that these guys are going to come back. That was the premise of the Alien Nationality Act. So first of all, this law was a bad law to begin with as it was brought into play. Then we left the Alien Nationality Act. This is the first time, Volcano Shelton, that Liberia has an opportunity to construct citizenship for a place of belonging for those who really belong. And now we're blowing it up. We are now creating another tier citizenship that says, here is it. Shelton, you were born here, everything, you're Liberian, but my man, you're Liberian, get limitation. Yeah, a limitation to it. You can vote for anybody, but you can never be voted for. You can be Minister of Finance and Managing Director of the Free Port. So I asked somebody, and National Defense. So I asked somebody, how did you guys even make that choice? So health not important. So Ministry of Health, so that reckless play anybody can go.
But they're not the eating places. They're the eating places.
But even you see the randomness of the talk. But let me get to the main point here. I think the dual citizenship bill is a mistake. We are sowing the next seed for the next Civil War, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. When the Bacchus Matthews, the H.B. family, the Ellen Johnson Shirleys were being denied access to their own country those days, and being discriminated against because people were afraid of their ability to run for politics. They got to the point, home is home. When the longing for going to home came about, they did not rest if they had to go through war. If they had to go to whatever means they had to go back to where they belong, they forced it. And we saw how it ended up with the amount of support they were able to get from so many people who felt treated the same way. We are creating the same scenario. Let me tell you something. To be president of Liberia, Shelton, the people get to vote for you. I care less where you come from, what tribe you are. If the Liberian people don't vote for you by 50% plus one, you're not going anywhere. To be senator, and the diaspora has no history of winning elections, by the way. Une senator groupie, however, come from the diaspora directly and won an election. Everybody else has been whipped. The Emmanuel Yato Tetan running. People talk about not having restrictions, national security, right? What if the biggest argument they have? What if the president cause trouble and run away? Let me tell you something. There's already a tool in international diplomacy and politics to deal with that. It's called treaties, extradition treaties.
Extradition treaties, yeah.
Major countries in the world realize that, for example, we know many of our citizens fled to the country and told us, so we will sign an extradition treaty with them. That if you ever cause trouble here, you run away. And that's why you build a robust justice system. The justice system can extradite that person. You don't need to be a citizen for a country to protect you. Thomas Woe, all of them ran and came here. America protected them, even child stealer. They were not citizens. But because they declare asylum under international law, these countries have an obligation to hear their case and provide them protection from persecution, whether you like it. They don't even need to be citizens of those countries. So what we have examples, Nigeria. A natural-born Nigerian citizen can run for any office by the appeal court, a recent decision by the appeal court, regardless of how many other citizenship they took anywhere. Ghana.
I don't know why these people are being so wicked, man.
Ghana has restrictions on their dual citizenship, right? 2 months ago, the Ghanaian parliament has introduced now a new discussion for removing the restrictions because they feel it's unfair to diaspora Ghanaians who are going back into the country and pouring in so much investment, but they are being restricted for political reasons for not running. So in my opinion, the bill is bad. Our story is different. We are not Ghana. We are not Nigeria. We are not Cote d'Ivoire. We are Liberia, a country that was established by former free slaves who fled the shores of the United States seeking freedom. How then can we come after a civil war that the framers of our constitution did not even expect that we were all going to be scattered, punish our own people, but when trouble happens, we say, let's go to the Liberian, the diaspora. The dual citizenship bill is an opportunity to create the first middle class in the entire country. Let me tell you, it's the greatest economic opportunity Liberia ever had. You don't pay for rights. You are entitled to rights. You pay for privileges. To hold your Liberian passport, Shelton, is not a privilege. It's an inalienable right. You didn't tell God where you wanted to be born. God made that decision on your behalf. To hold an American passport on top of it is a privilege because not all Liberians have that same opportunity. We make you pay for privileges, and now I pass a dual citizenship tax that says you can run for anything. Volcano Shelton, as long as you're a Liberian, you qualify. But because you hold the privilege of an American passport, you pay $200 a year. You will raise $100 to $200 million immediately. Number two, as you progressively build it, after 5 years, you pass a law that any dual citizenship Liberian must have real assets in Liberia to show, because it's rights and responsibilities that citizenship comes with, right? So if we say $5,000 in your asset, whether that business, whether that investment, whatever it is, to show that Volcano Shelton, and you pay your taxes, and it took 5 years and it go to 20,000, we'll confiscate it the same way the U.S. government does. You don't pay your taxes, they confiscate your property, they garnish your accounts. They do the same thing here. So we pass a bill that benefits Liberia zero, and it's impossible to implement.
And you know what I call that bill? I call that bill escaping the visa payment bill. Because that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to do. Escaping the visa payment.
And so because people will just have their passports. Yeah, people who have two passports can decide to have their passport. How are you going to actually prove it?
Yeah. So that's all it is. The bill is a mess. And Wetty wants to defend that under the don't ask, don't tell, and only the Supreme Court can make you to present the burden of proof that this man is a citizen. No. I don't want to have to go on the table. I don't want to be
or even lie.
Yeah.
Or even lie.
Yeah.
But why put us through all this mess if the bill is a dead law that cannot be implemented? So why put us through all this mess?
Because the danger here is these are the kinds of documents you don't want to lie about. No. Look at Tom Owoyo. Look at Moses Wright. Look at what he's got. You see, so you can't lie about. You said it right. Your right is your right. That given right. You were born as a Liberian, and there's nothing. Even the very American passport that Liberians have and going around with the American passport, it shows country of birth. It shows country of birth. Yeah. It shows Liberia.
You actually still put in your American passport your country of birth.
Yeah, Liberia. It when it says the nationality American. So there's no way you can retreat from that. It's there in the history. It's there in your DNA. It's a part of you. So it's a shame, Moses, when these people think that they've done something. And Wetty, I don't know what you are talking about in the war room, and y'all were trying to take for tag. You needed to succumb to certain things, and then you can build upon it. It was just you took away the crust, you took away the pivot, the foundation of this bill.
I think there would have been more pressure on the Senate. How Wetty and the group walk away and say we will not accept this. We fought for the rights of Liberians. We got here. Then in a handful of people who are afraid that other people may challenge them in the election, who got money too that might come from the diaspora.
But you know,
We would have come to the diaspora and say, here's the bill we presented. The Senate decided they want Mango and change it. We're walking away from the process. We are now part of it. Here is the bill. We will continue to pile the pressure.
But you disconnected. Some of those guys are themselves holding dual passports.
And they bring their girlfriends and their wives here to give birth when they're pregnant so that their children can get U.S. citizenship.
Yeah. You know? So it's a pain. And for Wetty to want to defend that, you know, I mean, irrespective. Again, President Weah, why did you sign the bill without reading it?
Oh man.
I mean,
the point that people were asking him is this: a Nigerian who leaves Nigeria, go to Liberia naturalized, the only thing they can become is the president of Liberia.
Yeah.
They can become anything else. But a natural born Liberian can never run for any elected office. Even paramount chief, because it's elected, you can be paramount chief in your village.
Can you imagine, Moses? So this is serious stuff. But you know, I just thought to bring this up because I know I've seen you talked about it, and listening to those guys' conversation yesterday, I was just you know driven by, and I'm sitting there asking myself, so all these years you fought through 2012 to now, and this is what you walk away with.
Yeah, it's
you
it's
know it's like you
discrimination.
got the pizza, but then under the cheese, there ain't no crust, you know, or the pizza, all the little pepperoni and thing. Now on the pizza is just the cheese.
It's the bad crust.
They give it to you, man.
You know,
yeah. But like just to buttress what you guys are saying, the particular bill or the particular act that was passed, it discriminates against Liberians in the diaspora. And whether the people at home like it or not, Liberians in the diaspora contribute significantly to the economy of Liberia. So to deny these people the right to be actively engaged in local politics is just unfortunate. And someone wants others to buy that. Oh, you know, let's take it for now. No. I agree with you. You know, if certain thing not right, just not right. You know, say this is unacceptable. We're not compromising. They're not doing you guys, or they're not doing us any favor. It's a right. That's why they say inalienable. You know, it's not a privilege. No one can take that.
well, gentlemen, Leo, thank you so much, man, for coming through. Great conversation here tonight. Quickly to recap, we talked about the Liberia Learning Center project. And for those of you who are just coming, Leo is the man who's behind this project that would change the educational setting in Liberia, because it will provide a lot of information, a lot of technology to our young people, to even our old people, because it's a center that would be out there for everyone. And in probably 2 years, it could be up and running. That was the meat for why we came here tonight. Of course, we talked about other things. So, Leo, we hope that we can bring you back. There's so many things happening in the country outside of this project. We'd like to bring you in as one of our discussants. So please avail yourself. I know you're so busy.
No, I will. Yeah. I promise that this is important to me as well. So
So thank you so much, my brother. I don't know the time now in Canada, but it's what?
It's 8:42. I have the same time.
Okay, we are in the same time zone.
Okay, then that's great. That's great. But thank you so much for coming through, man. It was a pleasure having you here tonight.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Leo, just before you log out, let me join Volcano too in saying thank you. We really appreciate your coming, the work you're doing as a young person, moving things. I think that's really laudable. We wish you well in all of your endeavors. And don't hesitate whenever you got issues that you think you need to throw to the larger community and we can be of help, let us know. We'll contribute effectively.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Good.
Well, Moses, 8:42. If let's just say
Yeah.
up in 3 minutes, it will be at 8:45. But I thought it was good conversation. Quickly, let me just recognize some folks rather, before we leave. Thomas Awaji, thank you so much, my man. The other night you were not here. I don't know what happened. I'll see you.
My man, I man gotta pay fine.
Yeah,
Thomas, you gotta pay fine, my man.
Midfield Deco, good evening, welcome. Seba Kurate, it was good having you. I say thank you for coming in, William Daniel Kraku or Kriku. We say thank you, SB Dunn, Jamel, rather Lomel. Thank you for coming in, Flomo Livingstone, Mobile OP with the third. I knew I saw someone here, Moses. Uh, Thanks for stopping by. It was good having you here tonight. Victoria Mitchell, Anthony Papisumo. Do you know the name Papisumo? He played for IE.
Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So my man went to the seminary and got a
Okay.
theological degree.
Oh wow,
currently
yeah.
work-
Papi
yeah,
Small.
yeah. He
Used
currently
to be a
works.
very popular name in Liberia.
He currently works with the LRA. I'm sure he's
Okay.
still there. Dana
Okay.
J. Colley, congratulations on your birthday. We wish you well from the Issues Room. Hope you're having a great time out there in Monrovia, Liberia. Vitals, Irving Euphrates, Shelton, good having you in the house tonight. Angasi rather, Dualu, thank you too for coming. Everyone who joined us, continue to share the link, continue to spread the word. The Issues Room is where we discuss the things that matter.
Yeah, definitely. Great show. And that's how we'd like to wrap it up. Yeah. I know the weekend starts today. Labor Day weekend is here. So what's going on for tomorrow? Volcano?
Everything Coco, also thank you for stopping by. It was good having you. Agnes Barkley Young, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Well, I'll keep that secret. We gotta go. Yeah, it's it for
You want to throw a secret out there, but yeah, it was a pleasure being here, and this was indeed a thought-provoking discussion. Very great, guest. Leo did an excellent job, and he's doing a great job in Liberia. That's commendable. Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
So again, we want to thank all of you. We'll be back here on Tuesday, God's willing, with another presentation. Continue to join us. Share the link. Invite a friend. Tell someone about the Issues Room. This is where we discuss the things that matter, particularly to Liberia, the African continent, and the Black Diaspora. I'm Volcano Shelton. Saying good night.